Welcome to tonight's school board meeting. We are going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Amanda, would you lead us, please? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Next up is approval of the agenda, and I have a couple of things to add to discussion items. One is to have us decide who's going to chair our board committees. And then also the 2025 Fall Workshop Series from the School Boards Association on calibration, and I'll give you some info about that. Does anyone have any other additions to the agenda? May I have a motion?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the amended agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Recognitions. Billy.
On Monday, I'd like to thank Adam and Tracy. That helped you? Tracy, they unloaded the beef along with Vincent. I think they said we got 1,100 pounds of ground beef and roughly 200 to 300 pounds of pork. So
Awesome. Adam.
And I'll recognize Tracy because I've heard absolutely nothing good or nothing but good about the lunch. It's the kids are,
Excellent.
that's the talk of it, that it's much better than it has been. So good job to her.
Thank you. Tyler.
I try not to repeat, but I will. She's on my list, so I'll work backwards in order. That kitchen staff's doing a really nice job. The kids have noticed. And I just thought it was really cool too. The other day, they asked all the kids for comments and feedback on how they can improve. Just those kind of things go a long ways. I think of just, if you think of customer service, they're trying to get their customer's opinion and do a better job. So shout out to the kitchen staff for sure. I would also like to recognize Sophia Tidyman, kind of on her own, which is pretty indicative of how the maintenance department works, but she kind of saw a problem with our parking lot. So she got some paint and she got to work the other day right before we got real busy again with the start of the school year. So our parking lot looks a lot better and it's a lot safer and more organized. So I appreciate her. And I would give a kudos to Pinnacle Bank, and that was Justin and Amy and Eric who grilled lunch for us on the jump start for 9th graders and 6th graders. They did an awesome job. And then the kitchen and custodial staff jumped in that day and helped serve and clean up and everything else too. So give them a shout out as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. LaCroix.
Madam Chair, along those same lines, I'd like to thank Deckers. So Deckers, helps get all the lunch and the breakfast ready. And then as earlier stated, Pinnacle Bank donates all the meat and then goes ahead and prepares it, cooks it, so that staff can relax and enjoy and be part of that day. So very nice to have that kind of relationships and sponsorships.
Anyone else? I would just like to recognize everyone who organized the Welcome Back Day. I thought it was pretty successful. I didn't get to stay for the whole time, but thank you for that. All right, visitors' comments? All right, action items. Oh. Okay. Yeah. All right. Action items, the consent agenda. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? Billy.
Hey, Brad, I was going to ask her, I guess, Tyler, one of you two, did we change the junior high girls wrestling program to go January? Okay. Have we found
We have not been able to hire
Okay.
coaches as of right now.
Okay.
We don't have a coach recommendation.
I just seen in
for that.
here
Yep.
all the recommendations, and I didn't know how that was going to work with the high school girls going at the same time.
Yep. So one way you might not have coaches and the other way you might not have competition. But the biggest thing I think that we need to be careful of is since we don't make the boys make a decision between basketball and wrestling, we shouldn't ask our female athletes to have to do that. I think that's in my opinion, not an attorney. The attorney's not here. So my attorney opinion is going to be the word tonight, but I would think it's a Title IX violation. Or I think it has the possibility of becoming a Title IX issue.
No follow-up?
No.
Okay. Any other discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. We have no old business tonight. Under new business, we have rescinding a certified transfer.
Yes, so Madam Chair, I would recommend to the board to rescind the certified transfer of Jolisa Wainscott as a special education teacher and transfer her back to the speech language therapist.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to rescind the certified transfer from our speech language therapist to special ed and transfer her back as our district-wide speech language therapist. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Revision to policy GCK professional staff assignment and transfers.
Yes, so Madam Chair, I would recommend to the board the revisions that are in your packet to policy GCK.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the revisions to policy GCK professional staff assignment and transfers. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Policy CKA, firearms policy personnel concealed carry on first reading.
So on first reading, Madam Chair, I would recommend to the board the approval of that policy again on the first reading as it's stated in your packet.
May I have a motion?
Move to approve.
May I have a second? I will take privilege of the chair and second that so we can discuss it. It's been moved and seconded to approve policy CKA firearms policy personnel concealed carry on first reading. Is there any discussion? Sean?
So does this make our insurance cheaper or refresh my memory on this? We gotta have this policy for,
We're covered this year
Sorry.
because we already paid.
We are covered this year with insurance. When I talked to Shelby today, we don't necessarily have to have a policy in effect to have to get the coverage when they go to where you have to pay the $3,500 per carrier. But it would be a good idea to have something, he said. Right now, if we just he said, if we just watched what other districts are doing, some have policies, some have it all spelled out, some have simple ones like us, some have none. They're going with the law. So we don't necessarily have to have this to have insurance, no. And it's not gonna, the cost will go up after this year to have insurance for a firearm incident.
Reading that 20-some or 30-page document from them, I thought we did because we had to be able to identify how many riders we want, right? One rider doesn't cover everyone, it covers
No.
one person.
But they don't need to know any of that. They don't need any of that information. Basically, it's going to be,
It's up to
we
us.
have 10, so we'll need 10 policies.
And there's no way for us to
And they
know.
don't want that information. We are the only ones that would keep that.
Yeah, there's no way for us to know how many writers we'll need next year without this policy.
So our insurance is gonna go up no matter what next year,
Mhm.
just because the legislature passed this.
Mhm.
That's from what I understand in the state of Wyoming.
Yeah.
All schools are facing this.
Yep.
Okay. And just one more thing to add to this. I'm a firm believer of this. I'm not gonna get off of it. I think we need to have some kind of a drug policy in here for this. I'm not for it unless we have some kind of a drug policy.
Do you mean drug testing?
Yes.
The law, the statute as they wrote it, we can't require that. That's my understanding.
I'm really having a hard time with this. So we're gonna let a guy in a school with a weapon, and he went through all this stuff. But we're just willy-nilly gonna let him go into school with a gun without a drug test, or even be on a random, which everybody else in the world has to be on a random. I feel like somebody needs to be on a random because there's always a case, like I said before, somebody could have a hard day at home or whatever, and you never know what people do anymore. This world is crazy. And I don't know, I'm just going out on a limb here. I'm not for it. It's because there's not a drug policy involved.
And I'm gonna tell you, during all the testimony on this before the legislature, that was brought up to them numerous times for
Mm.
drug and alcohol testing. And they said no. So I think we would run afoul of the law if we added that at this point.
So I think I hear you. So in the past couple 20 years, I suppose, we've had that conversation about staff. The only group right now that can be randomly drug tested are the bus drivers because they carry the CDL. It's my understanding that as a certified staff member, i.e. teacher, that for us to put that in, you would have to first of all show some kind of survey data that you really did have a problem, but that problem can be random for students, but I do not believe the protected group of teachers can ever be tested as it stands. That would be a great question for Abby, but I don't think that group can be tested.
The protected group, explain this to me.
Okay, so years ago, when teacher unions, I guess, were developed, one of the things that they wanted was some protection, and that protection was a violation of what was deemed their civil rights. And their civil rights protected them from not being randomly drug tested because there was no data that showed that anybody was in harm's way, meaning students or anybody else. Now, remember, that's probably been before our time, but I do believe the state of Hawaii, if you go back and Google it, is the only place where the teachers are actually under a random drug test.
The best way to know the world is to read your local paper. And I'm going to give you another hint, being a paper boy. When you get your local paper, like my mom used to do, put the front section away and go to the metro section. That's where all the great dirt is. So you read the metro section, and you will start to become so much smarter than the kids that are just academically debating, right? It'll be common sense and street smarts.
Really quick, last question. We got to welcome Secretary Nome.
So yeah, Christy Nome was the next guest to take the stage there. But boy, again, I mean, none other than President Donald Trump is committed to a printed newspaper. I mean, as fan clubs go, I'll take that one in the whole modern political landscape. Donald Trump, Megyn Kelly, Steve Bannon, and Charlie Kirk, at least in Wyoming, I guess. Those are some pretty powerful names supporting printed newspapers.
Go back and Google it, is the only place where the teachers are actually under a random drug test. But nowhere else is that the case.
I'm just trying to get all this clear.
Yep.
So DOT is federal.
Mhm.
We get federal money, right? We got to go by federal rules. It's to a point, there's federal rules we have to go by. So some of our staff that have to go by the federal rules, I think they should be drug tested. I don't know. This drug test thing.
I would
just-
say
The
the
CDL.
problem would be there is you're probably going to now be discriminatory towards a class of employees. And, and I'll just use this. So Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV, SPED. Is that all this? Is that all the Fed people? So if you're under federal dollars, you're randomly drug tested. If you're under general fund money, which is state money, you're not. I would think you're going to probably have one heck of a fight and probably lose that in court, from what I've been told. And it's not that I don't disagree with you from a safety standpoint. That's not my issue. It's just, I think if you tried to add that in there, you would find that there's no way to add that verbiage into this policy or practice.
Billy.
Okay, so for this year, we could have, say, just 5 people that are randomly carrying, and they don't have to let us know about it because our insurance is covered this year. But
Because it's a state law, anyone can carry, right? They can conceal carry.
yeah, but I mean, we're covered insurance
be-
this year,
yeah.
but next year, moving
Yeah.
forward,
Unless something happens.
If they change the
legislatively,
law.
yeah, if something changes. Then, I mean,
so. Okay, because number 3 really sticks out to me. If we don't have this policy, non-compliance may result in disciplinary action up to including termination. If we have somebody that walks in and we don't have a policy and gun accidentally goes off, we don't have a policy saying we can't terminate them. I mean, we probably could down the line, but I mean, is
Yeah,
that
I would say that I would think that would be some kind of grounds under, incompetency or inappropriate behavior. I would definitely hope it would fall under behavior that is detrimental to students and others. So I think you probably could move that direction.
would the process be longer if we didn't have something spelled black and white?
There's 2 phases of that. So if it's a non-tenured teacher, i.e. somebody who's been with you less than their first day on their 4th year, it's a different process than those that have property in tenure status, and then due process would kick in. How that would play out in a hearing, remember, you're the hearing board on that, in that instance. So it'd be no different than really, well, it's a little different, but it's similar to what most of the board has experience with student hearings.
Paul.
I'm not a big fan of the keep the firearms on their persons at all time on district policy. Because if they're a coach and they decide to put it in their pickup during practice, they're in violation of this policy.
Because that's not concealed carry, right?
I'm not for it then. If you tell somebody that they can carry concealed to protect the student and they have no way to conceal it because they're wearing a tank top and shorts and they put it in their vehicle that is locked, there's no way I can say that is irresponsible or should be a violation of our school policy.
But isn't that the concealed carry law?
It's only concealed carry when you have it on your person. You're saying here that they have to have it on their person at all times when they're on district property. The minute that they take that off their person and leave it in their vehicle, they are no longer in possession of that firearm. So if we're splitting hairs, they're in violation of a policy and can be terminated for that.
Okay. I see what you're saying. So how would you reword that?
I wouldn't.
Strike it.
Because trying to remember the exact wording in the law, and I don't.
Can we get
Susan.
some concealed boxes to put those in during those times? That secures them.
But doesn't the law say on your person?
We still have to change it, but put them in the boxes.
I think biometric box is mentioned in the law for those people that do have exactly as you stated, they're going to PE or whatever. And also just so you know, as the board, we've never really had a zero tolerance. There are occasions where administration has to remind people that, you don't need the gun in the gun rack or on the dash or things of that nature. I can only speak for myself, but I don't think it's against the law, but I do have weapons in my truck, but they're not concealed. So maybe I am in violation of policy, but where it's not concealed and it's not anything besides in my vehicle and it's secured,
So
I
would-
think I'm allowed to do that.
Would you be amenable to it saying keep the firearm on their person or in a biometric lockbox at all times?
I think that would improve that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But once again, I think this is one of those things that no matter what we do, we're gonna be boxing ourselves into a corner one way or another.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, if something happens, irregardless whether we have this policy or not, everybody's gonna be blaming us. I also think that if we have a policy on the record and something happens, it's gonna box us into a corner even tighter. That's just my opinion. I'm telling you the gut reaction I'm having to this entire process. I'm not saying that I'm 100% against it, but anytime you put something in black and white and say, this is our policy, if something happens, well, you have to act, right?
You have to act?
Right.
It doesn't say that.
Well, it's your policy though. If somebody does anything to violate
Oh,
this
I see.
policy,
I see.
if it's just
I
if
thought you meant
somebody-
the gun holder.
where I'm going with this is if I'm a teacher and I'm getting out in the parking lot and I pull my gun out of my purse to put it in the back of my neck and some student sees it, they can say, well, I saw that. That's no longer concealed carry. And by God, I want that person fired. Your policy says you will fire them. So you're going to fire them. They violated the policy. It wasn't concealed because somebody saw it. Now, would that happen? I don't know, but in this day and age, it wouldn't surprise me.
I just hope we all keep in mind that when next year rolls around, if we do have insurance on this, then they're the ones who cover attorney's fees and court costs and all that stuff. If we do get sued over this, because if we had $250,000 worth of attorney's fees for a lawsuit, we can't afford that. So, who was next? Sean.
I think it got brought up in the last meeting too, is that insurance companies can decide if they're going to pay or not. That's what worries me because I've seen a lot of stuff where, we got a policy And then if something else happens, they ain't on our policy, they'll say it wasn't in your policy, so we're not gonna cover it. I'm not a real firm believer of insurance companies. Cause
Wait, which, can I ask you to clarify what policy you're talking about? Are you
Let's
talking
just-
about this policy
yeah.
or the insurance policy?
I'm talking about this
Okay.
policy.
Okay.
So if something happened that ain't on this list in our school and the insurance company gets hold of it, they say, well, we're not gonna cover you because it wasn't on your policy or something like that. I'm just saying there's a lot of ifs, just a lot of ifs. And this is probably one of the worst things that the legislature could have done to us schools is made concealed carry permits in schools. This is a touchy, very touchy. So, and we all got to protect ourselves in every school, and we're just going to have to do it right. There's a lot of black and white, like Paul said, and you know, everybody's dealt with insurance companies. They may pay, or they may not. There's so many loopholes, and they'll find something just not to pay. That's just how insurance companies work. That's my concern.
So did you, did you get the 20-some page policy?
Went through it all.
I mean, I got the feeling
You got the feeling we're covered on everything.
pretty much, and they've been pretty good. I mean,
Yes, they've been pretty good. I mean, I just know what Shelby told me is that
Mhm.
this year we are covered. It wasn't excluded from our policy. We've signed it. Next year may be a different story. And that there's different groups out there that are trying to get this rescinded. And I mean, there's all kinds of things going on. So they said most people are just sitting back and kind of watching. So some have policies, some have long policies, you know, it just depends on the board, the district. I don't know what the answer is.
Billy,
So I know I made the motion, but I'd feel a little more comfortable if we're covered for this first year, but I think by next year we need to have a policy definitely in place. I mean, it can be vague, we can kind of set back and see what other schools are doing, but I think by next year, I think you need to have some kind of policy. I mean, even if it's just vague as, you know, you must present to the superintendent a valid concealed carry permit and notify in writing. I mean, I feel a lot more comfortable knowing this year that and I mean, I hate to say it, but it might play itself out in a year. I mean, we might learn a lot more in the next year.
might, so then would, I get this sense then, would you prefer if we table this till spring? Tyler, sorry.
Yeah, just to reiterate what Billy said, you know, if we're covered for this year, and that was what I was gonna suggest anyways, if we're covered for this year and they've got so many groups fighting this at the legislature level, let's wait for until spring, June, to see what happens, you know, throw this, table it, put it on the books, maybe do some work to it, you know, vague it up, you know, add some things, subtract some things, whatever we need to do so everyone agrees. So in the spring, if we have to have it for next year, it's there. And we can just do 1, 2, 3, and it's done.
Okay, thank you, Billy. Okay. So I will withdraw and consider this in the spring then. Okay, for your information, directors, Bo,
The new store. This is the one-stop shop. We have a pharmacy. We have a bootlegger's liquor. The deli, the food that you can get at a lunchtime is so amazing. The coffee shop. Certain Friday mornings, there's 30 people sitting here in all these chairs. This is the hub for people to come and visit, have their coffee, have their donuts. It's amazing what this area has done. Totally amazing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I really don't have a whole lot. Pretty much students back. We were just kind of working through problems with the new iOS, or excuse me, OS, not iOS. But we're working through those. Just a heads up on a couple of the projects we'll have at least probably this month. We are looking at doing a copier swap. So we'll be swapping out a lot of the copiers in the offices and then admin, transportation, distribution, and we'll be rolling some of the old machines out. And then we are looking at probably adding 2 card readers on the VOAG building. But other than that, that's all I have unless there's questions.
Any questions for both? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Angie?
I don't have much to report. I just want to say though that our Miss Coy is now a Mrs. Tisdale, so something to keep in mind. And I'm grateful for her and CeeLo's help in the business office. So I don't know. We're just working.
Okay.
Getting through. Any questions?
for Angie? Nope. Adam?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have nothing unless you guys have questions.
Everything looks great.
Thank you.
I rubberneck the football field every time I drive by. It looks awesome.
And you don't stop there now. You just keep rolling.
Mr. Bartlett.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I think I told you last time I was predicting right around 200. And that's, we're going to be at exactly 200 to start the year at the middle school. I think if you guys know anything about a bell curve, I think what you're going to hear is I think we're riding the bubble of the bell curve right now in the middle school. We're pretty darn big, and we're feeling that in some sections and stuff, but it's an awesome problem to have, and our hallways are really busy and it's exciting. But so that's where we're at numbers wise there. For fall sports, 70-ish girls volleyball players on 6 teams with 5 coaches and a lot of scheduling problems. So just I would just tell you truthfully, if you hear from parents on frustration and stuff, I think it's fair, but we're working on it. I mean, 70 kids to find gym space and competition at an appropriate level. It's a challenge that we're working on. But so that's volleyball for you. About 20 runners out on the cross country team and 35 football players between 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So about 60% of our student body doing something right now. And so that's pretty cool. And then I did have it on the notes, but yes, I'm still searching for a middle school girls wrestling coach. I'm recruiting somebody with family ties, so we'll see how that goes. And then otherwise, we're always looking for football and basketball officials. So if anybody's interested in putting on the stripes, we'll take you. And that's it, unless you have questions.
Jason?
Are we going to pursue another coach for volleyball?
I think we're at the point where we've got it to a workable solution. And I guess it's one of the, maybe you could go searching, but I think we've got a really good staff that are working together in a good direction. And I think they're going to make it work for kids. And then that's 5 coaches, a lot of people to pay. And then not knowing what the schedules are going to look like, really, guys, that's not what we're used to. So I think this is about as much staff as we need to make sure everybody's got a coach, everybody's got a practice, and then all the games are covered and everything too. So I think we're sitting good where we're at right now.
I just want to make sure, because, like you said, coaches and teachers are hell of a job, and I don't want them to kill themselves trying to make this work if, there's a more financial solution that we would have to talk about too.
Sure. And that was our late addition was Kylie, to try to help out. And of course, she's a former head coach at the middle school level. So we're lucky to get one like that. I think that's part of it. And again, I tell you to be ready if parents have questions, because, we've gone district wide in the middle school level to that A, B, C, regardless of grade level model. So that can lead to some hurt feelings, right? If I'm an older kid, but maybe I'm on a B or the C team, but it helps us with that kind of situation, Jason, because you kind of have your kids grouped by what we think is pretty appropriate for them. So the coaches can coach to that group and the AD can schedule to that group, and we can manage it with the people that we have, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else?
Paul?
Even with hurt feelings, 70 kids out, even riding a wave, that speaks a lot for that program.
Yeah. I think it's awesome.
Staff.
Come by the gym. It's pretty wild. And now they at least got morning and afternoon practice split up, but those first few days, gym was packed. Yeah. Thank you.
Good problem to have.
Yeah, you bet.
Yep. Anything else for Tyler? Thank you, sir. Troy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I got a few things to discuss. To start the school year out, we have 2 new Type A buses that we got this year, beginning in August. So we'll be replacing the 2 old ones. So we'll auction off or possibly ask the Children's Center if they'd like to have one of the buses. Of course, that with board approval for you guys. Second thing, drivers this year. We started the year out one less than last year, and we're losing another driver this Friday. We're waiting on the resignation for that, so we're tighter than we were last year, and last year we were tight on drivers. So we keep hoping. We have a few that Amanda's training right now. It's going to take a little bit of time, but those would be pretty much sub drivers at this time. The big thing why we're here is to talk about Osage and the stop in Osage. I think most of you know in years past, with the exception of two, Susie and Tyler, Osage has been, the stop in Osage has been a kind of a problem. We used to go down Sheridan Street. We can no longer do that because of the conditions of the road. We can't get anyone to fix the road. Last year, we moved the stop to the water station. They do not want us using the water station as a stop. We contacted the owner of the Sagebrush Bar last year. I think his name's Brent Weaver. He lives in Ohio or Iowa. And it was turned over to the lawyer for a release of liability. And last year they were kind of against it. But I think we're re-examining that. So we moved the stop this year to Highway 451, the first turnoff on Oil City Road. And we've got some kickback on that about safety and stuff, phone calls. Parents concerned about kids crossing the highway. When we proposed the stop, we never thought that kids would cross the highway, that parents would be bringing the kids over. So we've had phone calls saying that kids are crossing the highway and they're concerned about their safety. Then I talked to the driver and the driver said, there's no one there. So we're trying to figure out what's going on there, but we are concerned about the kids' safety and we're trying to decide what the best thing to do is. We've tried different options. Last year we talked about the Met Street, McGrew Street, going down to Skull Creek, do a 3-point turnaround. That's not something we probably should be doing. So we're pretty much looking at what options do we have to keep a stop in Osage. So Brad and I talked about the transportation committee getting together and trying to figure out what's best. So anything that you guys can suggest or things that we're not seeing. I think Paul and Sean probably have the best idea about Osage streets.
You don't want to know my suggestion.
How about across from the post office? So I have a chunk of land right there.
Okay.
How about we use that? You can turn in, turn out. When you and I can get together and we go look at it.
Okay.
That'd be right in town, pretty close.
Okay.
So
Because someone mentioned the post office before, but like if we turn around at the post office, we have that drop off.
right. Well, this is across the highway.
Sure.
From there.
I get that. And someone else mentioned the beer hut, and they said, I don't know if this is right, Jimmy Bowa. I don't know if that's relation to you. I'm assuming, but they mentioned that. But at anytime personal property, you'd be up for it, but there's the liability, the insurance. Is it going to be maintained?
Yeah, there's nothing on it.
Okay.
I have to, some weeds and stuff you have to move, but
We could take care of that.
Yeah, and there's shell on it, but yeah. Whenever you want to have time, we'll go look at it. So it's right there. So
Okay.
So
Sounds good to me.
Anyone else? Thank you, Sean. Jason.
From the time I come to you and say I want to be a driver till we cut them loose, what's that time frame?
It varies with each individual. Some people are more comfortable driving a bus. Some people are intimidated by the bus. Length of time, most of the people that we have right now that are training, we have a gentleman that works out up at the honor camp. So he works his 4 days off, on his 4 days off, then he would train. So we're basically looking at things like that. The majority of the people that we have for subs, this is our second job. So it varies. It depends on how many hours like if you were to do it, how many hours can you give a day and how we can fit it into our schedule with routes, sub-driving activities and field trips. So it's really hard to give you a concrete answer. It could be a month, it could be 2 months or longer.
Okay.
Anyone else have questions for Troy? Thank you. Oh, Jason does.
So I guess Troy, Sean, did we want to do it as the committee or just you two get together? How did
We're-
you want? Okay.
Yeah, we can. Oh, yes.
My recommendation would be is, I think it would be wise to have the committee and probably have the meeting in Osage, because what we're dealing with is a public perception of we don't care, we can't trust, and everybody that calls has a little bit of a different twist. And I think if everyone was there, it would help for transparency. The idea that we do care, we are looking at options. And then the other thing that I would say is with the lease of liability, whether it be anywhere on private property, it would be wise to do that. But then I'm going to go backwards just a little bit, Madam Chair. I'm not so sure we couldn't use a lease of liability with a gun policy. And I don't know what that means, but I would think if you wanted to take on that responsibility, I think there's a way that you could protect yourself and the district through a lease of liability, if that's possible.
Release of liability.
Mhm. I mean,
I don't know.
let's
if
face it. I
would
mean,
fit this
the whole
statute.
idea behind the idea behind the law was that the message would be out there that Wyoming schools are not soft targets. And lo and behold, we just had another school shooting today. Nothing that happened today, I think, would be benefited from anybody carrying. If you have a drive-by shooter, you have a drive-by shooter. That's evil in mankind. But on the other hand, somebody really does want to step up, take on that responsibility, and then to turn around and be terminated because, you got caught switching it, that is counterproductive. And I think we'd all agree with that. I mean, now, the whoopsie daisy where you drop it in the toilet, no one gets hurt, that's on you. The idea that it, lands on the lunchroom floor and goes off and does harm somebody, that's a different topic altogether. I still worry from this standpoint. If I'm law enforcement and I'm coming in to help, and they do come in help, and they come in at a high rate of speed, I don't know who you determine is on whose team.
In addition to the weekly printed version of the newsletter journal, we also promote our community and share important information on our award-winning website, newslj.com, and in our weekly email newsletter, Nuke Now. We also connect with readers through various social media platforms and invite you to check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can even take a look at a recent meeting of the City Council, School Board, or County Commission on our YouTube channel. We do hope that you will go to newslj.com and subscribe today, and we look forward to making all of our great content available to you. But regardless of your level of support, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts for doing your part to preserve a free and independent local press.
I still worry from this standpoint. If I'm law enforcement and I'm coming in to help, and they do come in help, and they come in at a high rate of speed, I don't know who you determine is on whose team. And I still wonder, from a law enforcement standpoint, does that help them? Does it not help them? Now, I will tell you, as I've listened over the last 4 months, if you're in a district where, the nearest responder could be up to an hour, then you take on a lot of different responsibilities, whether you're a teacher, a custodian, or whatever, bus driver, because your situation is different. Each community is a little different with your response time. And again, remember, we're all counting on the response time being somebody who responds and responds appropriately. And so there are a lot of different things, but I do think on that, Madam Chair, my recommendation would be invite the community so at least we can try to build a little bit of public relations and trust back into this conversation. Because really, since we shut the school down up there, we've suffered with public relations, and we don't, it's been pointed out to me, we asked no other kids to cross a highway, but by God, we asked the Osage kids.
Yeah.
Was there a bike or not? I don't know. I do know that there was apparently a student that was injured on a bike last night that had nothing to do with the bus stop or anything. So things can happen. I think our job is to try to mitigate our damage and our exposure. And I get where I was up Monday or Tuesday, I can't remember, followed the Osage bus. Nobody really crossed the road, but I could see a little one, maybe somebody sleeps in, you see the bus, they're going to act. I mean, little ones are quick and they're going to see that bus going. They're not going to be thinking about the highway. And nobody slows down in today's world, and half of them got their nose in their cell phones, and so the risk there is great. But I would thank Sean for at least suggesting that. And if there's some other suggestions that come from the committee or the community, I think we should look at all of those. Because whether it's 1 or 100, remember that one belongs to you. So that's the way to look at it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And we will, in a few minutes here, we're going to appoint a chair of that transportation committee, and then you'll know who to get together with. Jason.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess what Brad said, I think get with Troy, find out who we need to get a hold of at Kitty Moats and set up a meeting. And then, like you said, have them give input. We can drive around, look at different areas. It may take a second meeting to come back and say, these are our thoughts. And so that would be, like I said, I would agree with Brad.
Yep.
Paul, if we're gonna have a meeting, I think we should extend an invitation to our county commissioners as well. And whoever calls that bus barn, tell them to call the commissioners. And if they need to have contact with somebody, you've got my number, tell them to call me. Because at least with this situation, that's where the buck stops. So.
Okay. Presley, what's new?
I've waited for this moment. Okay.
Just a clock or?
Yeah. I'm reporting on a lot of different things today, so bear with me. Sources of Strength just had their ice cream social today during our ER period. We extended invitations to a lot of the freshmen. Being freshmen, they didn't really show up, so we're in the works of getting more of them involved. They will also be having their peer leader training on the 10th of September, I believe. It's also in the works with Sources of Strength to potentially have a guest speaker. So I'll have more information on who that will be and what that will look like. But I am trying to work with the mentors of that to open it up to maybe a little bit more of our community or our staffing, because I think the speaker we have in mind has a good message to share with everybody. FBLA will sometimes have an interest meeting next week. Mrs. Engel is super busy with some family wedding stuff this weekend, so that's kind of been put on hold. But FBLA members are working at our success chart list thing to get gold chapter this year. FCCLA had their interest meeting on Tuesday. FFA will be participating in Living History Days on September 11th. And we will have our first meeting on the 9th. We've already kicked off planning a lot of different things for the upcoming year. Different fundraisers. We'll have a group traveling to nationals in November, I believe. And then student council. So Mrs. Yu wanted me to introduce myself and my role. I conducted my first meeting last night. It's the biggest student council meeting we've had in a couple years, so that felt pretty good. I asked the expectations that we uphold the opinion of student council. I think we hold a very good name for ourselves and we're very loved in our community. So I just ask that every member embodies that and just respect back to our community because without them, we wouldn't be doing what we were doing. So that was that. We also wanted to recap on how successful our all-school reunion was. The parade was pretty successful in funds for student council. That helped kids go to summer leadership camp, and we took 8.5, technically, but that was really important.
I don't know if we want to know how you took a half a person, but that's okay.
My cost was only a half, so but yes, we got a lot of compliments in conducting the parade. It went smoothly, we thought. So that was really exciting for all of us. We're already undergoing homecoming and planning for that. We are back to a regular schedule of volleyball on Friday and Saturday, as well as football. They are in the works of changing the volleyball game times so that everybody can make it to both sporting events. We picked a theme of Disney. We're having a meeting next Tuesday to clarify more of that. We'll have our dance on Saturday, all of the things. Also with student council, I can attest to Troy over there because we are limited bus drivers for routes. We are unfortunately cut down to traveling only in Suburbans for a lot of events in this fall. So that means our first event, we can only take 7 students, and when our council is about 45 people, that's really unfortunate because unlike Mr. Bartlett, we are feeling a little small this year. So we kind of struggled to get that participation from lower classmen and upperclassmen. So if you know anybody, please encourage them to come be our bus drivers because serving on the state board, it looks pretty bad when my home council is only 7 people. So that's just a little bit of encouragement if you have anybody. What else? I think that's all I have for student council. And then school. Our science department is great. I love all of them. They work very hard. And if you ever get a chance to be in our school, make sure you go down there and see what they're doing. They're all up to something new every day. But they brought in professionals from the School of Mines, Spearfish, all of the things, and they're getting in contact with their students for their STEM projects. So that is really good, especially for a lot of seniors. That gives them a school option and a contact, as well as that opens up some areas for our lower classmen to go attend projects in the summer in their labs. I know last year or 2 years ago, a group went to Houston and set off a hot air balloon, testing some solar eclipse thing. So that was really exciting. Kudos to our STEM department for doing stuff like that because that's really important. Kirsten wanted me to mention that she started a yearbook class. It's currently all girls, but they hope to get more people involved. But that's something that's kind of lacked in the high school recently. We've been fortunate to have Emily do our school books for us, but it's kind of bringing back that school spirit. EWC finally got all textbooks by today, so classes for that has started and registration. We have quite a few students enrolled this year, which is really good and really important. And then sports kick off, most of them. Golf has already started, but everything else kicks off this weekend with volleyball, not basketball, football, cross country, and swimming. I think that's all I have.
Thank you. Anyone have questions for Presley? Very
I
thorough
had more,
report.
but
We appreciate that. Don't listen to Jason. Jason.
I'm excited about the yearbook because I'm a 4-year yearbook guy myself. So that's it. I'm excited to see that. So are you guys planning on doing the actual yearbook this year or you just starting in?
well, that's a really good question. I would assume they are planning on having a yearbook by the end of the year. I don't really know. It's lower classmen, because it wasn't scheduled as a yearbook class. It was scheduled as like a graphics and vinyl or coffee crow. And then within that group, they just took the group. So I would assume, I mean, they've been around doing a lot of different things this year. They set up Kirsten set up a photo booth for all of us on the first day of school. We took pictures as everybody walked in.
Really cute.
So yeah, I would say they probably will have something started at the end of the year.
And there were so many comments I saw in person on social media about how great, how much people enjoyed the
Mhm.
all-school union reunion parade. So
Yes. I think our school has a very positive start of the year, which can kind of be hard in some high schoolers, especially the group we have right now is a little hard to motivate and stay positive in school. But for like the senior class, when we had our meeting with Mr. Hoffman, our graduation rate has gone up, which is really, really good. And so hopefully we keep those people involved and doing the right thing.
excellent. Thank you, Presley.
So just one note, if you're going to do the yearbook, you might want to do like a prepay order piece because the last group had several books that are still in my office in the front. Yearbook, the actual hardcover yearbook is almost outdated. More of them are going to some kind of other electronic thing than a book, but they are expensive and we ended up with several boxes that were unspoken for.
We should have auctioned some of those at the whole school reunion.
Madam Chair, do I have an opportunity for you?
Sorry.
I think CeeLo, we've even tried to hand them out as part of a punishment for Saturday school.
This place is full of, you can tell the people that like to be with old people because they really take care of you good and are very kind.
Twice a day, every day, activities people have an organized activity that's always interesting.
Everybody loves to play bingo. We play it 3 times a week here. We also have ceramics that you can paint. Really pleasant to live here. It's a good place to be.
I think CeeLo, we've even tried to hand them out as part of a punishment for Saturday school. We have actually quite a few. And what's really strange about handbooks is, or the yearbook is, there's years that you can't find. And then there's years where you have a plethora. And, you know, the museum doesn't want them and on and on and on. But CeeLo does periodically have a request, you know, where somebody comes back and maybe misplaced one, lost it in a fire or whatever. And usually that's the cache that we go to. But I know the last year there was quite a expense that was incurred by the district just because the student body really didn't want to participate in purchasing those.
Okay. And you're up for your report.
Chair, I've spoken enough. How about any questions for me? I do have one. Madam Chair, thank you. Thank you for your positive words and at the kickoff and both Paul and Susan for being there able to join us for the start. And then Presley, just so you know, if you think your group is always not very motivated, welcome to my world.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I really enjoyed the speaker so much.
It was very nice.
Yeah. Yep. And I would have liked to have heard more of his stories of teaching in Florida, but Presley.
Madam Chair, I would also like to invite, I don't think all of you want to come, but if you all want to come, Student Council has their meetings first Tuesday and third Tuesday. Yes, at 6:30 in the library. I would like to have you guys there. I think it would mean a lot to my group, myself and Mrs. Yu. I would also like to have your guys' input, and then you directly get to see what happens. I'm not promising they're very orderly fashioned. We try, but not always is it great. But I would like to extend that invite to any of you at any point in at all of the school year.
Thank you.
Yes, 6:30.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the meetings I've attended. So
Hours, dates.
The first and third Tuesday at 6:30
the high school library.
p.m. Yes. Not a.m. No.
Yeah, talk about motivated.
Some of us like to enjoy our open hours, so not 6:30. But yes, those are always open. And then if anything changes, which it usually doesn't, I will let you guys know. Or just my dad will let you guys know.
Okay.
Are you done? Okay.
Thank you, Presley. Did you have anything else, Brad? No. Jason, do you have anything?
Our meeting's tomorrow.
Okay. Dina?
Haven't had one.
No. I had a WEPT committee meeting today. We conducted we had 6 business managers interested in filling the business manager's seat on the trust board. So that was awesome. It was harder to choose, but it was great. One of the things we talked about is the president or the president of WEPT, the chair, has been summoned to the legislature's recalibration committee meeting to answer questions, as has Willis Towers Watson, our administrator. Blue Cross Blue Shield is going to join them. The word around Cheyenne is that there are a lot of legislators very upset about recent court decisions. And that one of the things that they want to do is force all school districts and possibly all towns, counties, and special districts to join the state employees group health insurance plan, which doesn't offer as many benefits and is more expensive than ours. So, well, as per statutes that are being overturned by courts, part of the legislature doesn't seem entirely concerned about that sort of thing. So, I just received this late this afternoon, a list of talking points. At some point before recalibration, I think it will be really important for all of us to speak to legislators about local control and how we need to be able to choose the best policy, most affordable policy that we can for all of our folks. So, I will share that with you via email. What was the other thing I was going to say? Nope, those are the 2 things that I had. Okay. Future agenda items. Sean.
I don't know if that's the future agenda item. I know I've heard a lot of good things about junior high and high school lunches. So do we need to put on the agenda to talk about the elementary lunches? Is that coming up? Because I've heard a lot of stuff that the meals at the elementary are terrible.
Absolutely.
So I guess I would go back, and I don't want to speak for Tracy. But she's been really easy to work with, really good. But she's still definitely learning. So I would say I think that's a great thing in the future. But for example, she's had conversations about either having multiple menu items as an option for the secondary guys. And she's also, of course, working on doing the a la carte. But neither of those things are happening yet. So I think I would just give you guys, maybe give her some time to continue the positive momentum where she's at now. And then when she's ready, maybe down the road, that'd be a conversation worth having. But I think she's still working on trying to right the ship in the one spot, is my take.
And I do think it would be, I know she's probably absolutely overwhelmed right now, but maybe by the end of the semester, we could have her come talk to us.
And Trustee, you're correct. The biggest two concerns that have come out of the elementary lunch is either ranch dressing or ketchup, which aren't the biggest issues. But I do think that as Tracy gets her feet under her and we look at some things, I think the other thing for the board to watch is sort of where this federal lunch program goes as well. Because there's another variable there that we don't control. But as we are working through this, and we can afford it, I would say that that's probably the direction you want to look at. I think by switching real quickly, I think you'd ruin two programs by doing that, but I hear you. Yep. No, I think it's a great thing to watch, and I think it's even a better thing to sort of, manage to see if we did that, how it would work, and then again, how are we going to budget for that as well, if we would walk away 100%. And again, I think the biggest waste at your elementary school, from what I've seen, and I'm not a food expert, but it's the stuff that they have to put on their tray to get, a reimbursed meal. And it just, lettuce works well for your rabbit, but don't work well for you. And so it goes in the garbage. And then we talk about waste, but a lot of that waste is really something that we force.
Yeah.
You don't see that now, especially where you're getting the input from the student body. Now, do we still have a lot of students that like the open campus concept? I don't think you'll ever get away from that. And I think that comes with some responsibilities and a way to grow young people as well. So I think we hear you, and as we get ready and we manage things, I think that's a great future topic.
So I guess my question, I'll piggyback off Sean. Can anybody give us a definite date of when we have to say yay or nay for the federal funding for this elementary school? Wasn't it like January?
That's what I recall.
So, I mean,
it had to do with the commodity orders, so.
Yeah, if we can get I thought that one time they said they had to have like by January for the following year or something. If we can get that so we can put it on the agenda and start talking about it.
Adam.
Same topic, I guess. Something maybe to start thinking about. Tracy's used more beef in a week than we used all year last year. Of the beef, the donated beef. We got plenty of meat to make it this year. I think at the rate we're going, I think you'll still have a couple beef in there to start next year, but 3 aren't going to do her. 3 won't come close. She's talking, what she had told me was she's planning 70, 80 pounds through the high school a week. You figure that up, and if as the program grows, that's only going to be more. Just food for thought.
That's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So can I ask you maybe as a student council, can you go get some, I guess, positive things from the junior high school kids that are eating there? And maybe that's something we can publish to the public so they know about the lunch program.
Trustee, just so you know, I've had several people more than willing to donate, but they do want to come in and actually see what is being done with the donations before they would add to the donations. And I think that's more than fair.
Yep. So, good point. We'll look at doing that looking at that in November. Okay.
For the ball.
Or maybe we should do the end of October, since we only have one meeting in November and one in December. Okay. Adam,
I just want to reiterate, we have enough for this year. We cannot fit absolutely no more in right now. We put those 3 in there and we are full.
Yes,
Gotcha.
we can fit more if we get it.
They'll come to your house.
again, a great problem to have. All right. Tyler? Oh, Presley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was also thinking for next year, I know Julie Morris did the Feed to Fork program. That's super important for schools. I think we're going to try to push it as a school this year to get more people involved, because Julie is our only exhibitor that does the program. She profits off of it. Our school profits off of it. But if you guys have any of those close ties of any sorts, I think that's really important to look into as well, because that would do us some good and get us some good recognition for our school.
Yep. Billy.
Can we throw in the recognitions too for Julie Morris for donating that pig to Weston County one? I forgot about that.
And congratulate her on being recognized by Wyoming's First Lady for that donation. She was, yeah. All right. Discussion items. Fall roundup is tomorrow night in Gillette. Starts at 5 out on Lakeway, same place we've always done it. I'm not sure what the transportation arrangements all are. I'm going to a service tomorrow and then I'll go up. So I might be a little late, but
I'm driving myself.
I think it won't run.
okay.
I won't be there, Madam Chair. It's
Okay.
Middle school's first volleyball home game, so I probably better be there. So
Okay. Early dismissal Fridays. There have been some questions about, excuse me, in particular, possibly moving some practices so some coaches could have more chance to have Friday off. Brad?
So, Madam Chair, what I'm really seeking here is some flexibility. There's not a lot of flexibility with hourly staff because hourly staff so many times, again, are tied to federal kinds of dollars and also tied to individual students. So we're really not talking about that group. What we're talking about is the certified group and primarily the group that do multiple kinds of tasks, i.e. they teach and coach. And so what we were needing is, if it was okay with the board, i.e. we're not asking coaches to jump out of anything that would be instructional. So if there's a PLC that's scheduled, that's your number one priority. But what the question really was is the idea that, you're coaching, it's Friday, you don't have a Friday event, but you have an early Saturday leave in nearby Rollins. And would there be a possibility to have that group of kids start practicing at, 2:00-ish, so that the coaches are home, the students are home. They do get a little bit more family time before they're up at the crack of dawn and on a bus and down the road. And so I just wanted to sort of see where the board was with that before we gave the okay. And did I not explain anything other than that?
Jason?
So do they not have practice at all on early release days?
Couple different looks at it at the middle school level, and I got parents that can attest to it. We pretty much moved to just morning practice on Friday mornings for
Right.
simplicity's sake, because our guys can't drive in a car and come back and everything else. Especially at the high school level, I think the point is then sometimes they're out of school at 1:30 and they got to go find something to do for a couple hours to then come back and have practice. So what Brad's talking about is those unique situations where our staff are not scheduled to do anything. It's their work time. We talked about this last year where, some of our guys are choosing to leave at that time if they want to, and that's totally fine. So we were hoping for some flexibility with the understanding that the principals can manage it, where, yep, when it fits the schedule right and the coach has the need, you've got our blessing to go start practice and communicate that just so everybody can keep rolling right at 1:30 and go from there.
Jason, go ahead.
Is there, what would be the odds of them doing a morning practice on Friday as well, like the middle school does?
I hear you, and you're a morning person, so you understand this, but there are several people that are not highly encouraged to do anything in the morning. And practicing probably would not be very beneficial. And it seems like more at the varsity level, that would be more of a punishment. Well, I'll let you speak. You're a student. You give me your opinion.
So I'm a morning person, so I don't care to wake up early. I think when you get to the high school age, maybe not a freshman, but older, it becomes like your responsibility to get yourself up if that's what your coach asks of you. I remember in the slight chance we had a practice on Friday, I think more of like basketball season where, hey, you're supposed to go to Douglas, but got canceled, but you have a home game on Saturday. So it's mandatory that we practice Friday to do all the pregame stuff. Our coaches in general just sent us to the gym after school. That's kind of how that worked. And then we kept rolling. I know volleyball in season right now has Wednesday morning practice every Wednesday, just to alleviate the conflict with church and youth groups at being out by 5:30. I don't see why this wouldn't be beneficial to high schoolers. I think you'd have a lot more happy high schoolers to go to practice by 2 o'clock, or like Mr. Bartlett said, not have to wait around till 4 o'clock to come back to practice for 2 hours. I think that kind of is demanding of time, and it's not nice to go from place to another place to back again. So I think this could be beneficial. I think you'd have a lot more people that are happy. Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't be something that would be good for us.
Paul?
If it makes sense for the coaches and the teachers and the students, why not?
Yeah, my only question when we visited about this earlier was if there are kids used to doing something at a certain time with another activity that kids would have, if there were very many situations where kids would have to choose which activity, if the coaches or sponsors would be open to that, so they don't get penalized for missing.
Yeah, no, and I think Presley hit on it if you caught that. Now that we're into the second week of school, we're going to be competing on Fridays from here till forever for the most part. So if you give us this blessing, you're looking for maybe 2 or 3 times a year where the stars align, where this would be a convenience for the coaches to figure out with their athletes, and ultimately the coaches can solve that with their athletes.
Yeah.
But
And we trust them to do the best for themselves and kids. So I think we're all a thumbs up. Yeah. Okay. Jason says 6 in the morning for everything.
I have a 13-year-old that gets up.
I would pay to watch. I would pay to watch Jason with 20 grumpy high school girls.
Military would come at it.
Yeah. I bet it would. All right. In front of you, you have our committee list, and my request is that we choose a chair, or that I get volunteers to chair each committee that we have volunteered for. So the first one, who will be scheduling an Osage meeting, is transportation routes and salaries, and that is Tyler, Jason, Sean, and Susie. Who would like to chair that? Jason?
I don't have an issue chairing,
Okay.
unless Sean really wants it.
Okay.
Okay. Transportation. Oh, and since Joe's not here, we can just tell him which one he's gonna that's, I know, when you're not at the table, you're part of the menu. Transportation maintenance in new vehicles. Who would like to chair that? Joe would? Okay. Buildings and grounds. Billy, you had said you would like to do that one. That's that's Billy, Joe, Sean, and me. Curriculum, Gordon, Pillin, Fitzwater, and me. Dina? Okay. Finance, Crabtree, Gordon, Pillin, and Prell. Susie? Salaries, benefits, Gordon, Bow, and me. Would you like to chair that, Paul?
You have much more knowledge in depth inside the benefits.
Okay. All right. I will do that one. I will do that. Okay, non-certified personnel.
Sean would love to.
Sean. Tech team, Paul. Wait, so, okay, so then I say that Mr. Mills didn't get a chair.
Pretty quiet.
How about this? Anybody who can't go to a meeting sometime, he can be, would you be our sub on meetings, and you'll learn about more stuff then?
Sure.
There aren't gonna.
Want to do that?
Okay, that makes sense for Tyler to do that transpo.
And then
Good idea.
And then Susan would be the fill-in.
And then Susie will make you our pro tem member. All right. So, so you're gonna have Jason, Tyler, Sean, and Susie on your routes and salaries committee. And you guys will organize the meeting in Osage. And then let's make sure we get that on Facebook and maybe even in the newspaper.
That's
Yeah, if you, and if you guys want to go look first, you know, that's up to you. You can run that however you want. Okay. All right. That was easy. Okay.
Nope, you still got it.
That's just like.
You're already that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, those are already, yeah.
We do that in November.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay, last thing I have this evening is the 2025 Fall Workshop Series from the School Boards Association is about recalibration. And it may be more important this year than it ever has been, considering the temperature of some of our legislators and their caucus. There will be 4 one-hour virtual sessions, September 18th through the 9th on Thursdays. And then there's a 5-hour meeting in Casper on October 18th. September 18th through October 9th. And then October 18th will be an in-person 10 to 3 in Casper. And it will give you all the tools to be able to talk about school funding. Recalibration was my first experience with recalibration was when I was on the State Board of Ed, and I learned so much. I would say even if you can't make it on the 18th, it definitely would be worth your while. So we will get that forwarded to everybody.
Madam Chair, also on September 25th, which is a Thursday, I believe this room here will be the meeting room for part of that conversation. I'm not sure exactly the whole intent of the agenda. But what is it, LSO group, right?
LSO.
I think is here, and there's 2 big items on the agenda. One of them is the reimbursement for homeschool students of the $7,000. And there's also apparently a bill that's coming out of Weston County that they're asking for support, which would be the representation from just Weston County. And so I think that meeting's scheduled here.
And who is sponsoring that?
Madam Chair, I don't know. I didn't ask. I just found out about it yesterday afternoon.
Okay. If you would like
Because
to
I
just-
thought the meeting was here for sure, but there is a chance that they may have to use a larger facility than this, i.e. it might even need to be the auditorium, because there are quite a few people that would like a shore, it's going back to what Presley said, somebody in the room that says that this is important so that they understand that it's important to Weston County. And yes, there's always recalibration. We'll hear a little bit more about that again tomorrow night, for those that can attend. But I just thought I would put that on the radar as well for the 25th. And I do believe that it will be in this facility.
And I assume you and Joe can't go. Is everybody else going tomorrow night? I didn't ask that. Okay, great. All right. That is all I have. So this meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.